Well, students, in this series of sections of Christabel, we are doing further lines of the poem Christabel, written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, poet of Romantic age. And we have seen that in this ballad, lovely lady Christabel finds herself in a forest. She goes in a forest, and under that oak tree, she listens a morning sound, and she guesses what kind of sound it is. And here, after that sound, she sees some image or some person there. From there we start today. And what she sees there? There she sees a damsel bright under that oak tree she was standing. And from there, near that oak tree, she sees a damsel bright, a bright maiden, young lady she sees. There she sees a damsel bright dressed in a silken robe of white, and that maiden was looking very bright and wore silken dress, white silk dress, that shadowy in the moonlit shone, and that shadowy beauty, and that white robes of her were shining in moonlight. The neck that made that white robe wan, her stately neck and arms were bare, and not only her dress was white, but the color of her skin was so white, so beautiful, that the whiteness of her neck made that robe pale and worn. Before that beauty, her dress was looking secondary. Her stately neck and her neck was majestic, stately, and arms were bare, and her arms, neck and arms were bare, her blue-veined feet unsandaled were, and wildly glittered here and there, and her feet were blue veins, blue-veined feet. Her feet were also white, but the veins were of blue color, and they were seen there, and her feet were unsandaled, naked feet were there, and wildly glittered here and there the gems entangled in her hair, and the gems which were entangled or there in her hair were glittering here and there. I guess it was frightful there to see a lady so richly clad as she. Though she was beautiful, but her beauty was frightful. And this is suggestive of her somewhat supernatural quality of that damsel who was looking so bright and white, but her beauty was having some frightful gestures. Means we may assume and we may feel that that beauty is somewhat a supernatural and some what we can say devilish character. A lady so richly clad as she, beautiful exceedingly. She was exceedingly beautiful means it connotates, this word suggests that that beauty was somewhat unnatural and exceeding. So, this suggests some ill character of her, of that damsel. Mary Mother, save me now, said Christabel, and Christabel was frightened to see that beauty, and she asks that damsel, who are you? The lady strange made answer meet, and her voice was faint and sweet. And then the lady made answer, and when she spoke, her voice was faint and sweet. Faint is itself suggestive of her being artificial. Have pity on my sore distress. I scarce can speak for weariness. And she begs for help, and she begs for some mercy, some pity on her, that beauty. And she says that out of tiresomeness, out of some weariness, she can hardly speak. Stretch forth thy hand and have no fear, said Christabel. How camest thou here? And here she, Christabel, says, stretch forth your hand, give your hand, and do not fear. How did you come here? Christabel asks her. And the lady, whose voice was faint and sweet, did thus pursue her answer meet. And then again, that lady, whose voice was faint and sweet, the repetition of the words faint and sweet is here in a ballad manner, did thus pursue her answer meet. And then again, she tries to answer of Christabel's question. And she answers, my sire is of a noble line, and my name is Geraldine. See the rhyming and the way she answers. And she says that my father is of a noble line, from a noble heritage she came, and my name is Geraldine. And she says that her name is Geraldine. 5 warriors seized me yestermorn, me, even me, a maid forlorn. And she was caught by 5 warriors, and they seized her, caught her previous morning when she was all alone and deserted, and they caught her. They choked my cries and with force and fright, and tied me on a belfry white, and they forcibly choked her mouth, so that no one can hear her cries. She tells, with force and fright, with force and with a frightful manner, in a frightful manner they caught her, and tied me on a palfrey white, and they tied her on a horse, white-colored horse. The palfrey was as fleet as wind, and they rode furiously behind. And then they rode her in a very furious manner on that horse, and that horse was so swift and so fast as wind. They spurred amain. They rode her with full strength on that horse. Their steeds were white, and she could see that the horses were white, and there were 5 warriors, 5 men. And once we crossed the shade of night, as sure as heaven shall rescue me. And they rode throughout the night, and she was praying to God, and she was assured in her heart that God shall save her. I have no thought what men they be, nor do I know how long it is, for I have lain entranced, I wish, since one, the tallest of the five, took me from the palfrey's back. And she says that, I have no thought what men they were. Who were they men? They were. Who were they? She had no idea. Nor do I know how long it is. And she even doesn't know how long she has come from her place. Because she says in this parenthesis, for I have lain entranced, I wish, because she was half awake in a trance like situation. And again, she will say that she was scarcely alive. Since one, the tallest of the five, took me from the palfrey's wake, a weary woman scarce alive, because she was so weary and so frightened, she became faint and entranced, and she felt herself hardly alive, and that's why she couldn't think that where has she come and how long distance she has come from her place. And she could only remember that one of the five men, who was the tallest one, took her from that white horse, a weary woman, scarce alive. Some muttered words his comrades spoke, and some her comrades, her companions, that those one of the five men muttered some words, and the other companions were speaking. He placed me underneath this oak, and that tallest man placed her underneath this oak tree. He swore they would return with haste, and she remembers that while they were leaving her deserted beneath this oak tree, they were saying and they vowed to come there again in a very short time. Whither they went, I cannot tell, and she says that I don't know where they have gone. I thought I heard some minutes past sounds as of a castle bell, and she says that I just remember that I have heard some minutes before a bell sound, a sound which was coming from the castle bell, and then she arose and came to some consciousness. Then she ended her speech and she says, stretch forth thy hand. The same thing which Christabel previously said to the damsel, and here she repeats Christabel's words, stretch forth thy hand and help a wretched maid to flee. And she pleads, she had a plea before Christabel to help her, to give her helping hand and help that wretched maid to fly away from there, to escape from there, to save her from those five men who are just to come, just to return. So, here we should think that this evil spirit who is begging for help is trying to have a physical connection, because she can apply her spell only through physical touch. That's why she is saying, give me your hand. And this evil spirit will work over her mind and will do some harm to her. But Christabel, the innocent girl, doesn't know the darkness behind the whiteness of that beauty. So here the ill omens or some suggestions of Christabel's fateful danger are beginning, and Christabel is falling in some danger. So, students, you read till line 103, and we shall start our next class from line 104. Thank you very much.